We good?
We are good.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I always have my sound cue. So, a little ghetto, but it gets the job done.
Nice.
I edited it all myself. But, ladies and gentle sirs, this is the very funny, very cool Mr. Shane Mauss, who just went and had sushi today.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was a bento box, and so it was just it was average, I would say. I should have gone a little more adventurous.
Right. So how was that?
I wasn't expecting such tough, hard-hitting questions
Oh,
right off the bat.
I want to hit you with the tough stuff so that it'll eventually get easier. How's the sushi here? And
I don't mean to get too political, but the sushi in Oklahoma City is fine, I guess.
lacking as compared to other places?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good in L.A.
I would assume as much.
Oh,
Yeah. There's a place, even I know you're sushi'd out for the day, I'm assuming, but if you feel like getting more sushi, there's a place not too far from where you're at called Sushi Nico, which has got really good sushi.
All right.
But yeah, you were hysterical this week, man. I enjoyed watching everything. It was
Thanks.
it was kind of funny because little side note, first time I ever saw you was it was my senior year in high school. I was just about to graduate, and then you were on like HBO doing HBO or Showtime, like doing like a 15-minute thing or something.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm gonna sound like a dick, but at the time I didn't think you were funny. But also I wasn't like I didn't understand comedy to some degree. Like I loved it, but I was always aiming for more of the just general population stuff, blue collar, and stuff like that like everyone kind of.
Yeah, well, that was actually that Showtime thing. I get a lot of compliments on it, but it was actually that was like at the peak of a lot of this heat that I was getting when I was first catching breaks, and so that was like my 8th TV appearance in a year or something like that, and
Okay.
and I was only like about 3 or 4 years in at the time, and I was trying to do all new material all different material
Right.
on each set, and that was at the end of it, and so I was scraping a little bit more for that, and the production of it was so weird. It was like on a Sunday in this theater that only like 100 people showed up to. They taped all of. It was like 8 episodes or something like that.
Holy
they taped
shit.
like all 8 in one day, and they had to like keep the same audience there.
Oh.
And so it was like 50 to 100 people in an 800 seat place being kept there all day long. So it just like was not ideal in any
Right.
way. But yeah, so I wouldn't blame you if you didn't like that one. But
It was also like, and the one joke that I remember specifically from it was the doing the bumper sticker, the I'm a child molester, and then the don't put it on your car. I remember that, and then I was like, at the time I was like, but now thinking back, and I was like, that's a fucking good joke because it's funny, like in the concept of like thinking like, if you were to sell those and have people do that, that'd be very very funny. It's fucked up, but hysterical.
I have this one friend who always calls me with like the dumbest ideas imaginable for like what he thinks would be like a good T-shirt or hat or business idea or
Right.
some stupid thing like that, and so I just thought of what is like the most ridiculous thing you could put on something, and that's where that joke came from. Yeah, I actually did that one on my first Conan. Now you just made a liar out of me because I guess I didn't realize I repeated that on the Showtime thing. But yeah, I did that. That was one of my first joke on my first Conan appearance, and it got me a lot of attention because it was ballsy, quote unquote.
It's good. I remember it obviously from 7, 8 years ago, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, no. Well, the general, I guess, kind of format of this, it's not set. Obviously, it can go very loose or whatever, and we can talk about whatever. But it's more not exactly road stories, but just kind of stuff on the road. Because I've been told by a lot of touring comedians that they get tired of. So, how'd you get started in comedy? What was your first joke? Just the boring kind of basic questions. So I was just thinking of stuff related around comedy. That's not exactly comedy, just like anytime you got pulled over that was, for anything crazy or any hotel stories or anything like that. That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure. Should I just
Oh,
go?
no. I mean, if you feel like it, go for it. I
Yeah.
mean, I have some lead-in questions, but
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah,
have
no
something,
problem. Throw me a lead in.
okay. Well, this might not be exactly a crazy story, but where are some of your? What's one of the favorite places you've like eaten on the road? Like what state or whatever?
Well, I really like. I lived in Austin, Texas for a couple of years, and I try to go back there as often as I can when it works out. I really like Austin's food. They have a lot of like food trucks with. They'll have they'll have like um, four or five food trailers in one little parking lot area or
Yeah.
whatever, and it has like picnic tables and stuff set up. Sometimes there's live music, and it's BYOB as well, and it's fantastic food because it's all people that are like, um, if you want to just be a chef in Austin and you're very good, like the best thing you can do is like for money wise is like work at a steakhouse or something like that. So now
Right.
you have these people with like these amazing culinary skills just like flipping steaks, and so they get bored with it, want to go off on their own, and a food trailer is a easy way to make that happen. So you get all of like the cutting edge. A lot of them turn into some of the better like brick and mortar restaurants in the
Right.
city eventually, and so you kind of get to sample some of the best new food around Austin for cheap. I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. There's a lot of stuff in. I lived in Malibu for a few years. There's a place, Moon Shadows, that I like a lot. It's where Mel Gibson got pulled over and got in trouble for calling the cop a Jew or some whatever he said.
Right.
And but nice place, other than the anti-Semitic crowd that they tend to draw. And also in Malibu, there's this hidden gem. I don't even like telling people about it, but it's called the Malibu Cafe, and it's just it's all outside. It's this huge lawn. It kind of looks like a wedding reception or something like that. And there's like chandeliers hanging down from the trees, and like an outdoor like pool table and shuffleboard table, ping
Oh, that's
pong,
cool.
and I mean the kitchen's in a building, but everything else is
Right.
is outside, and it's reasonable, and there's usually live music there, and there's like it's a good place to take a lady. There's like you can do like paddle boats. There's a little man-made lake
That's pretty
there
cool.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we have a thing here. I don't know. It's like the second Friday or third Friday of every month. It's called H&Eighth, and basically just because food trucks have just exploded, I guess, across the country. But like it's just an entire like two city blocks that's just like lined with food trucks, like everywhere that I can see, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, food trucks are taking off. I think Austin, I'm not sure Austin started it, but they definitely popularized it and
Right.
made them very successful. And now they're in like Portland, Oregon has a ton of them, but now they're everywhere. Even my small hometown of La Crosse, Wisconsin, even has food trucks
Yeah.
and stuff. So I like it. I dig it.
Yeah. I had a friend. She was wanting to do whenever cupcakes kind of was like everyone's doing cupcakes. Let's do cupcakes, and she wanted to make a business. Had no like prior like confectionery skills. She was just like, I get the
I like
box and I
cupcakes.
make cupcakes at home, so I can do that. She was like, well, what if we did this or whatever? And then another, I was like, that's not gonna happen because I started like laying out. I actually went to culinary school and I went to for hotel and restaurant administration. So I've got the background and like being able to go, well, this is what you're gonna need, blah 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 blah, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And she was like, oh, that's just too much. What do you expect? And I was like, well, if you want to start a business, you can't just. It's gonna cost some money. Like, what do you expect? She's not like something's gonna fall out of the sky. And then another friend of mine, his sister was getting like one of the Airstreams, the old
Yeah.
campers,
Yep.
and she was like wanting to convert it and do like a thing. And again, I was like pricing stuff out, and I was like, well, just like a flat top alone is gonna run you about, I think it was like about 6,000, something like that. And she was like, what the hell? And I was like, yeah, it's gonna again cost money. People don't realize the upfront cost of doing shit like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
Starting businesses.
yeah.
That's why it helps to be a wealthy person.
Yeah,
Makes
exactly.
it a little easier.
That's pretty good. All right, I'm gonna have to definitely. We're going to two. I'm going to two places in California. I'm going to San Diego and Sacramento. Is that anywhere near Malibu?
Where again?
San Diego and Sacramento.
Well, Sacramento is quite a ways away.
It's way north. I know that. Yeah.
But San Diego would be like 2 or 3 hours away. San Diego's nice. It's like all of the nice parts of LA and none of like the ghetto
Yeah.
areas, which is nice. And then it's a pretty nice drive up to LA too if you're planning on doing that. Are you driving from one to the next?
No. Well, I'm flying into Vegas, and then we're driving from Vegas to San Diego.
And then Sacramento after
Well,
that?
no. Well, Sacramento is like a few months later, I think. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's not. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not connected.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, can't.
Would have been a nice drive for you.
Oh yeah, no, of course. But life doesn't
Yeah.
always work out that way.
Yeah, San Diego's nice.
Been there. I went there last year, and we went to Old Town, and just the Mexican food was just fantastic.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was-
yeah.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed it, but okay. So we've covered food.
Food, check.
Check mark. I'll just check it off in my list. But I checked off the wrong thing. Okay. Are you still? I mean, you drove here, so you're still driving across country. Do you fly too often, or?
I fly pretty often. Yeah, I'm a platinum status member on American Airlines.
Holy shit.
Which
All right.
means last year I did about 75,000 miles, and that was including I had to cancel 2 months of shows because of surgery, and then I also spent about I did a 2 or 3 month long road trip in my car as well.
Right.
And so even in the 7 other months, I still flew 75,000 miles. So I fly quite a bit.
Holy shit! So
Yeah.
why'd you drive here then? Just
Well, I started in LA and I had booked a gig near my hometown the weekend before Christmas. And so it made sense so then I lined up stuff in Salt Lake City and Denver and Iowa kind of on the way to get there. And then I now have this separate show that I do that's different than my regular club act. That's all about psychedelics. And so I often will do that on off nights, and it kind of fills in dates for me. And so then I was there. I was in Wisconsin, and I was working there on New Year's Eve in Milwaukee, and then Grand Rapids the week after that. And now I'm doing this run of these 4 loony bins,
Right.
And then I'm doing a run of 3 clubs in around Dallas after that for 3 weeks, and then I'm heading back west to LA, and I just lined up something in Albuquerque and looking
Okay.
at getting some stuff in Phoenix and stuff like that. So it's just a little easier for me nowadays to make the routing work sometimes. So if I
Right.
have something like I mean, basically, once I lined up the loony bins and then the Dallas, that was like 7 weeks of work in essentially the same-ish area.
yeah, not
And
too far
so-
drives. Yeah.
And so it just kind of made sense and tacked on a whole bunch of other stuff. So yeah, I'll have been gone from LA for, I guess, 3 months by the time I get back, and I was gone for like 2 months before. I think I was in LA for like 2 weeks in December or something like that, and so yeah, I'm not there very often.
Life
that's
of
for
a road
sure.
comic, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing your job, so I mean, and fun, obviously. So that's all. So you ever? I get a. What was I gonna say? You drive so much. How many run-ins with the police do you have? Or are you a good driver?
No. I mean, I guess I don't know if I get pulled over a lot or not by most people's standards. One, I speed more because if you speed in, first off, like in the middle of the country, the speeding tickets usually aren't that much. And then also, if you're out of state and you get a speeding ticket, you don't get like points off of your license or anything like
I didn't know
It
that.
doesn't like go towards your insurance or anything like that. And so there's not as much of a cost involved there. And then, but I got pulled over in Salt Lake City was the last one. and that was for my. I had my phone in the windshield holder, and apparently that was like they think it like obstructs your view or something like that, and so he
Okay.
pulled me over for that of all things. And he was like a fine enough guy about it, but it seemed very silly. He gave me a warning and everything. If he would have tried to give me a ticket for it, I would have been like, "You're gonna sit in this car and tell me what view is being obstructed by this phone that is completely out of my line of sight," and but whatever. And once in a while, it's having out of state plates will get you pulled over a lot more. If you're driving like around bar time, because I'll sometimes I like driving at night if I can because I avoid all the traffic, and
Right.
I kind of don't mind night driving for whatever reason. And I remember getting pulled over like around when I lived in Austin, going north and getting pulled over around like Oklahoma City somewhere.
Yeah.
At like 2:30 in the morning or whatever, and them bringing out like drug sniffing dogs, and they're just trying to get you with something. If you have out of state plates and you're driving around bar time, you're gonna get pulled over.
Yeah.
Like more often than just a random person.
Yeah. Yeah. I drove a lot across the country last year, and I was lucky I didn't get pulled over. But yeah, I kind of like the whole.
You didn't get pulled over?
Not once.
Yeah,
I was very
that's pretty
lucky.
good.
I was very, very lucky.
I tell cops that I'm a comic now. I didn't before. For years I was like, oh, I better not tell them. Now I realize if I can just crowbar that into a conversation, they usually like end up letting me off with a warning. Not gonna hear any jokes about me now in your act now, am I? No, sir. Of course not.
No, Officer Simpson. I'm not gonna. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I drove to San Diego from here, which is fuck of a drive. It's 19 and a half hours
Yeah.
on Google. So like without Google, I mean, obviously driving, it's going to be maybe an hour or two more than that. So it was a long day. I did it in one sitting. Didn't stop. I wanted to kill myself by the end of it.
Yeah.
But
I've done about 3 of those in my career. They are brutal.
I did there and then to Tampa. I drove from here to Tampa, which is about 20 hours.
Yeah.
And that was stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a system. Like if I start to get tired, sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds will keep your ass awake. I found that out. Just because the motion of like, you gotta crack the seed, spit the seed, chew crack the shell, all that stuff. And then I get 3 Subway sandwiches, depending on where I'm at. I'll get 3 6-inch sandwiches, and then every time I stop for gas, I eat a sandwich. So I don't have to stop. It works. Like, it's my little system, but it kind of gets the job done.
Yeah, I like black tea. Is when I have to do a really crazy long one like that, because there's caffeine in it, and it's something other than water or whatever to drink. But it's like soda and coffee often make you like crash out. You might get a spike in energy, but then you'll crash. And with black tea, you don't like crash like that. And so if I'm sticking with my plan, which is I usually end up like toward the end break down and like get a bunch of coffee or whatever just to power through the last 5 hours or whatever it might be. But yeah, black tea works real well.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Like hot tea or cold? Like,
I drink hot, but
Okay.
I guess it wouldn't matter. But that's all in a convenience store. Any of those like bottled teas are all like they're like soda. They're like
it's so sugary.
Weird, sugary, like artificial crap and whatnot. Not that whatever. I don't. It probably doesn't matter that much. But I just find that black tea with no sugar keeps me going for a very long. Because you can't crash out when you're doing a 20-hour drive like that. You got to make sure that you don't like get your body to a point where it's gonna crash, because it's gonna want to.
Yeah. No, I've done that, and then minus I haven't done the tea. I'm gonna have to try that. But like I'll get to where like it's like my last stop of the night, and I always get like a French vanilla cappuccino.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if there's any like I think there's supposed to be espresso in a cappuccino or whatever, but since it's out of like the machine at a Sonic or not a Sonic at a 7-Eleven or whatever, I don't know if it's gonna have it. I don't know if there's any caffeine in there. It could just be glorified hot chocolate at that point.
Yeah, it's good toward the end though. I usually have something like that at
Yeah.
the end to get me through the last few hours.
Because at least, I don't know, in my mind, it's like, well, it's warm. It's a warm drink. So for whatever reason, it'll keep me up. It's done the job. I don't know. It's like a psychological thing but it's helped. But yeah, no, we did Tampa and then Vegas drove to Vegas twice this year. And then we went to Rhode Island, just freaking everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
I work with the World Series of Comedy. And so we go everywhere. And we got 9 cities this year. I talk about it all the time, and I don't want to keep badgering people with it, but yeah, so that's where most of my traveling kind of comes in. I'm not the road comic yet. I'm working to it, man. I'm getting there slowly, but no, so I'm doing that. Okay, since we're talking about cops, the story about being in, was it Rhode Island?
Oh, Portland?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that where,
Is that true?
Yeah, the bit that I did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove through a crime scene while drunk, not realizing that I had just driven through a roadblock. And yeah, it felt pretty stupid. And there's a little more to it than that. I just say, like, the cop let me go, but they did get me out and give me tests. And I was just like, because I was such a raging alcoholic, and I've been at the time, and in my younger years, cops were a regular part of my life.
Right.
And so I was good at those tests. I just had a lot of practice doing those sobriety tests. And so they brought me out and did them, and fortunately they didn't give me a breathalyzer. I'm pretty sure they knew that I was drunk, but because I passed the test, they're like, all right, we don't have time for this. A murder just happened. And it's in a small, it's pretty small-ish, Pleasantville-ish kind of area.
Right.
And so there's not a huge police force, so something like that happens, and it's all hands on deck dealing with the murder scene. So that's how I got away with it.
Oh, man, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, I can hear I'm getting our roof fixed, so I can hear the Mexican dude outside. I'm
Yeah.
not just being racist. He came to the door and talked to me, so he is a Mexican dude.
Yeah.
And I think his wife is something like that, too. So, you're... Shit. Yeah. You're heading to Tulsa next. Have you haven't done the Looney Bins before, have you?
No, first time. I was supposed to do them last year, and they were 4 of the 8 weeks that I had to cancel when a surgery popped up.
I think, and no joke, because I mentioned that I'd listened to you on Kreischer's podcast, and I think on there you said, it's actually, now that I think about it, you said, oh, I'm going and doing Looney Bins or something, and then I guess you had the surgery, and then that never happened, and that was that time, so I'll be damned.
Yeah. Things got pretty bad for a while. It was an emergency surgery that popped up due from another foot surgery that I had, and I got a bone infection, and so that was pretty serious business. Because if you don't manage it well and antibiotics don't take or whatever, then possibly I would have lost my foot. So doctor's orders, had to stay home and attend to that. Which I didn't realize how much work it was going to be. I was like, screw this. I could still go on the road and work. No way would have I been able to. It was IV antibiotics 3 times a day and changing out this enormous hole in my foot and its gauze and stuff. It was pretty much a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so all stemming from a hiking accident.
Things are good now? Your feet are...
yeah, it's fine. I can't like run or anything like that, and it's a little bit of pain, but I have a slight limp. But on good days, I don't have much of a limp. So on bad days, I have like a real bad one. But it's fine. It's coming along.
Right. So, but you're not healing though. You're not done healing, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's still healing.
Okay, so it's still okay. Cool. Well, that's good. I mean, you gotta.
Yeah, I think it's still coming along. Hopefully,
oh.
There's all these like plateaus where it doesn't feel like it's done anything for like a month, and I'm like, well, I guess it's like this for the rest of my life, and then there'll be some little incremental change.
That's pretty good. That's awesome. I mean, I'm glad it's better than obviously it was. Man, I gotta listen to the album, My Big Break. I haven't listened to it yet. I've got to, just because it's. I heard the story, and then as soon as I heard the title, I was like, it's genius, it's smart. It's good. That's a good call. I really like it.
Yeah, that's my favorite album that I've done for sure by a long shot. It was very I got to do a lot more heady and thought-provoking material on that one, especially because I was on crutches, so the audience attention span was much better for me because people were sympathetic and interested in what happened,
Right.
and so they just gave me a little more leeway to like set up some bigger concepts and whatnot, which sometimes in a club you don't have that a lot of times. You
Right.
need to like get to the joke or you're gonna lose everybody, and it's an unfortunate thing in our business, but it is the way that it is.
Yeah, that's well, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to. And you've said how many albums you put out? You said what, 3?
That was my third.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Hoping to get another one out this year.
Oh, that's cool. How often? How long does it take you to kind of accumulate the hour?
It depends. I usually have I usually have 2 or 3 different sets that I'm kind of putting together at the same time, and so it'll just be like, like the psychedelic show I started doing in August, but it was a lot of the jokes are from years of just little bits of material that I have about doing psychedelics or whatever, 2 minutes here or a story here or whatever. And I put it together and I started doing it in August, and it was pretty raw then, but it still did well. And then it's just built up really quickly, and it's pretty strong now. So I think that'll be my next album and special. But it's just like once the ball was rolling on it, it just kind of had the momentum and things were clicking together. And so that's usually what happens. The beginning part, like figuring out what jokes I'd want to be on an album, or what I kind of like doing theme things now, and so what I want it to be about or whatever, that can be the difficult part, and then finding like a bunch of old jokes or things that I've written that along that theme, and then using that as like a skeleton to build a new act on. Sometimes that happens pretty quickly, and then other times it doesn't. I don't know, it fluctuates.
Right.
I'm hoping to do a new special like every year and a half or so, I would say.
That's awesome.
I don't, I mean, right now I do 2 different acts in clubs, and so I'm not in a huge rush. I
Right.
feel like, well, when it gets done, because I just released an album last year, and I'm about ready. I could probably go and record in a month and have it out by like May to hit like the year deadline or whatever, but I don't know. So at this point in my career, there's no sense in rushing it because I don't always get the exact like quality stage time that I need to be doing, especially the psychedelic show. I only do on like off nights and
Right.
little indie venues and stuff, and then to just line things up correctly to do it right and find a good venue to record it, and everything else is it's a lot easier if you don't have to rush it.
That's cool. I usually don't want to get like too kind of just like comedy based, but I haven't had someone that's actually recorded like a few specials and stuff. If you don't mind me asking questions about that, like
Sure.
kind of process and stuff. Like when you do what was your Netflix special?
It's called Mating Season.
Mating Season. I was gonna say Mating Ritual. I knew that wasn't right. I was close.
Okay.
But yeah, no. Like, do you like record it and then try and sell it to Netflix, or with that one, did you get in contact? Like, how does something like that?
Well, my management company is also a production company,
Okay.
and they make almost all of the Netflix specials.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they kind of, I mean, they recorded it assuming that they're going to sell it to Netflix. It could have gone somewhere else, but
Right.
And so that's what happened essentially.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
just kind of, I don't know. I'm still learning the business side of
I
everything.
mean, I
you know,
think it's different for everybody, so I don't
Right.
really know. That was my one experience.
Oh,
I've
cool.
only done the one. I mean, I did a half-hour special with Comedy Central. That's kind of a different thing altogether, where they do X amount in a year, and they're all recorded in 1 week, and you submit to them, and they have a look and decide from there. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's a little bit different for everybody.
Yeah, that's cool. I was I learned about Comedy Central doing all their things in a week. I was like, that's crazy. But unlike the thing that Showtime did or whatever, they said they actually rotated the crowd out, so it was fresh people every time. I was like, that's good call. Good call.
Yeah, they usually, well, with like the half hours, they'll do two like back to back, so it'll be the same crowd or whatever for two, because it's only a half hour. And then with the hours, it's a totally different thing. I'm not sure that they record the hours in the same week. They might. I don't know.
Huh, I don't know. I would obviously not know. I'm the furthest from the knowing. But that's cool. Yeah, no. The psychedelic thing is hysterical, man. You pulled that out on Wednesday since it was such an odd show or whatever.
Yeah,
You
I
had
did
us
some of that material.
dying in the back, man. It was the whole rat thing.
Oh yeah, they can't test psychedelics on rats.
Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
was. If anyone listening, definitely go and check out one of those shows. And that whole thing is,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's ridiculous. It's a silly law, and so it's a good stand up's a good platform to talk about those kinds of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, has your stuff kind of, I guess, changed as you've gone on? Or, because that, some of the stuff that was a little more observational, but how am I trying to word this? Like, well, the
Yeah.
whole, getting pulled over was observational. Obviously, it was just happening in your life. It just kind of, or not observational, but, just you living.
Yeah.
And then other stuff like, the Bigfoot stuff is, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like my club act right now is just kind of a placeholder until I think of like another theme show to put in there. Like my big break was, or mating season, or my psychedelic show that I'm now doing. So when I started, I was like a one-liner kind of comic, and I was very much like a comics comic, and I guess my stuff would be a little like alternative or absurdist or edgy or whatever it might be. And then as I've gotten older and worked the road more and been to more places and gotten interested in more things, I've just found that longer form stuff just works a little bit better or rather, I'm not sure that it works better for me because I haven't really seen any. I mean, my first album was very, very successful. More successful than any of the last two that I put out, even though my big break, in my opinion, was better. But that was also had Comedy Central backing it and everything else. I just like doing it more. To me, it's more fun, and it's a way to talk about things that interest me in an interesting way. I'm able to do more intelligent material when I do longer form things. I realized when I started trying to work a little bit of science into my act here and there, that sometimes it would take so long to set up a joke that it just wouldn't be worth like whatever payoff. But if I could kind of set something up and then stick on that subject and use it in a bunch of different contexts and add a bunch of different jokes around that same subject, it would eventually pay off, and it would allow me to explore that topic a little more, and it's just like more natural. It's very much when I'm doing those theme shows, it's very much just like me talking and hanging out. I mean, it's funny, and I try to punch it up and everything,
Right.
but it's very casual, and it's very close to who I am. We all, embellish pieces of ourselves on stage and
Right.
and mask other things or whatever else. But it's doing the long form stuff is much closer to like who I am probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a dry guy too, so like dry one-liners always worked well with me. But
Yeah, that's kind of. I started out just doing one-liners because I think for just anyone starting, it's just the easiest thing to do. So, like,
well, it's really good to learn how to write jokes first and
Right.
foremost.
Yeah.
And one-liners are just a very good way to train yourself to do it. And I don't know. I think part of the reason why I don't do as many one-liners is because Twitter came out and everything, and now
no
I feel
shit, man.
I already tweeted that, and like, not that doesn't make me. Not that I think that's like burning material. It's not. It's just I just don't get excited, or I'm not interested. Like I already got whatever validation from it that I needed because I already like put it out into the
Right.
internet. And yeah, so I think that might have been responsible for a little bit of my shift as well.
Yeah, I did I did the one-liners or whatever, and I saw this one guy come through the OKC Looney Bin, and he was doing one-liners, and his act was a little dated. It was just older. It was like, he hadn't really changed much up for 20 years, whatever.
Yeah, you'll get a lot of that
Yeah.
in this business.
And for me, like, I'm not saying like, my material, I need a lot of work on a lot of different aspects. I get that, but I'm also young in it, so I get that. I understand that. But like, I've had friends, and see how you feel about this. I've had friends that have, or my friends are like, oh, I've just had the worst writer's block, and I've never had writer's block in like when it comes to like material, because I'll just like anything funny that pops in my head, I'll write it down. It might not be, I might not do it on stage, but it's funny, so at least I'm like working the muscle. I
Right.
mean, have you had like bumped anything like that, or usually since?
No, I mean the only time I would have writer's block, I guess, is if I have like once in a while I have a very specific project or something like that that has either been given to me or someone needs a bunch of jokes in
Oh,
some
yeah, I got you.
particular topic, or maybe there's one last little section that I need to make sure and finish writing for recording a special or album or whatever it might be. But other than that, no, I mean, no, I just have piles of notebooks and stuff like that and old material that I can always look through. I don't think that I think that people let their editor get in the way of their writing a lot, and we all have like a little editor in our head being like, oh, that's not very funny, and the more you can ignore that when you're initially writing,
Right.
the more content you're going to get. There's a good program called Write or Die that just is basically, he sets some parameters of, you want to write for, say, 20-minute block or something like that, and 30 words a minute, and you start it, and if you don't keep pace with it, the screen will start flashing red, or like sirens will start going off and stuff like that. So it just keeps you writing, so you can't really think too much about how good it is or whatever. You just have to write, and it's kind of a good thing to get the juices going. I'll sometimes do that at the start of the day, and then I'll get into like more
Like-
focused writing afterwards.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, there's one thing that I don't even know the name of it, but basically it just kind of, it's like, I think there's something on PC obviously, but I think there's something similar on Mac, but it's like called Black Box or something like that, where it's just like, it just turns your whole screen into just like old DOS, and you just type. Like, it doesn't, you can't click on anything. You have to like do something to like log out and all this stuff or whatever, but it's just like focus. I mean, it doesn't do all the bells and whistles and all that stuff, any alarms or whatever, but yeah, it kind of does that.
Yeah,
Just
there's a
kinda,
lot of distractions these days, that's for sure. But there always has been.
well, like, I went to go get food the other day, and I was sitting there, and like the guy on next to me was on his phone, and I just like, I do this from time to time. I need to do it more often, but I made a conscious decision to just put my phone away. I put it on, I turned it off, and I just put it in my pocket, and I was like, I got to get this itch just to stop, and it works, and I was just like, okay, and then I left. I turned my phone back on, but I was like, okay, hey,
Yeah,
I was myself for a minute, because I kind of stopped that, and then I noticed the guy in the back making. I went to go get Chinese, so noticed the guy making the food and everything, and I was like, oh, why is he using that knife? Why is he doing this? And I wouldn't notice, unless I'd been, nose deep in my phone or whatever.
right.
But you mentioned Twitter. I not that it burns material or whatever, because I mean it can't whatever. But like, I love the like the hashtags. Every now and then there'll be a fun hashtag like to follow. They did one. It was add a word, ruin a movie.
Oh yeah.
And I came up with some all right ones. My best one was Batman Begins, chemo. Like, and there was all these other ones. Like,
Right.
I did Apollo Creed 13 instead of Apollo 13. Just like all this random shit. But those can be fun.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
doing that because
Yeah, I've never really done the hashtag thing too much, just because I try to stay away from Twitter in general.
Right.
I mean, like, just not have it on a lot. And so when I think of a joke or when I think of a tweet, I post it, but I don't like go on and read, and I don't know what other people are doing on there for the most part.
yeah, I don't. I've stayed off of Twitter, just because it kind of gets boring. It's there, but like some stuff I really don't care about. But I'm on Instagram a lot more often now, just post pictures and just like, oh, that's cool or whatever. But no, those hashtags are fun, man, because
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
will kind of, again, it kind of forces you to think.
Right.
Like, because writing jokes or whatever, you're like, okay, well, and there was one. It was like, ruin the party in 5 words. Like, okay, well, fuck, what sentence can I come up with 5 words long or whatever?
Right.
And one that it was like, is this gluten-free heroin? It was,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was stupid as fuck, but I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. And
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
or someone flooded the fireplace. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's sometimes it's sometimes nice to have little like assignments or little projects
Yeah,
like that.
it's been fun. You do have a lot of science in your show. What made you so, I guess, science prone? Like, you know what I mean? Like, have being drawn to it. That's the
Well, I mean, I, I've always been interested in. When I was younger, I would get like Popular Science magazine, which is very, very simple to read. I mean, like anyone like
right.
12 years old or older should be able to read Popular Science. It's pretty very it's very short things. They don't really go very deep and stuff. And so
Okay.
I was mostly like into technology and stuff, and I'd read some other things here and there, and um, I I started reading physics and stuff after a while too. I got interested in that, and I think a lot of it spawned from I was raised very strictly religious, and I always kind of rebelled against that, and so I needed to have arguments about
Right.
how we know how old the world is, or whatever, that sort of thing. So that got me interested in physics and evolution stuff, and then and when I started doing more international shows, they do a lot of festivals where they have like a lot of theme shows and stuff, and I uh, I started trying to think of like what a theme could be. For a while, I realized I had all these jokes in my act about time travel. I didn't really even know it. It just occurred to me one day. And I was like, maybe I'll do a one-man show about time travel. And I started looking into it. That got me more interested in physics and stuff. And then I was like, well, maybe I'd do it about physics, or maybe I'd do about futurism. And so I always had like these ideas in the back of my head of these various shows that I wanted to do. And then I just kind of stumbled into evolutionary biology and psychology stuff, and once I started reading those books, it just changed the way that I saw the world, and it was kind of the most thought-provoking stuff that I'd ever heard, and I just kind of got obsessed with it. And I mean, the jokes come pretty naturally from that subject because life is just weird and crazy and funny,
Right.
and it's interesting to have just a different lens to look through at this weird experience that we all go through. And so yeah, I got into that, and for a while I thought I was maybe going to do a show or something like that. I was working on putting together some pitches. My representation always wants me to like think of some show to put together, even though I'm not terribly interested in it. And then so in the course of that, I met some scientists and stuff who were supportive and helped me out and answered my questions, and so then I just decided that I'd make this a podcast. And so my podcast, Here We Are, is interviewing scientists
Right.
about life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I so want to be a reader. I hate reading, man.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
work.
it's hard.
It's I just
Yeah.
because like in my mind, like I can to me, I compare it to like watching a basketball game or whatever. I'm not a sports guy. I could give a shit. If I'm there, I'll pay attention. But if it's on TV, I don't know why. But like it's just if you're doing the thing, that's all you can do. I like to like multitask as best I can. Like I can play a video game and like listen to a TV show, and just I can
Right,
whatever.
right.
It's just I'm getting more done in my day. At least maybe not. I might not be putting 50% or 100% into one thing, but in my mind I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing all this other stuff. But I just every now and then I'll like find something and I'll like read an article. I'm like, all right, that's cool, and then I'm just like done. There's
Yeah.
certain books that I loved, and I would like to learn about science, but it's just like, or just anything in general. I love history, but I can't force myself to sit down and go, oh, well, let's just run through this book on George Washington's history or what. I can't do it. It's
Well, a lot of times books look very big and daunting, and there's this Pomodoro technique that is pretty popular these days, and seems to be studied to result in some pretty positive effects with memory and productivity and whatnot. But it's very simple. It's the gist of it is there's individual differences. You got to find your own times, but basically you take like 20 to 30 minutes to just focus on something, whatever task, and then you just take a break, 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, and then you do it again. And so 20 minutes doesn't seem very daunting, so you might look at a book and be like, fuck, I'm never going to read that, but you can read it for 20 minutes, and that doesn't seem like that big of a deal. And then the break allows your non-conscious mind to kind of process the information a little more bit, and you can play video games or whatever during that break. And then so I usually have a list of various things that I'm working on, and so I'll just do 20 minutes of writing this special out or whatever, and then I'll take a break, and then I'll do 20 minutes of either I'll do that again if I was enjoying that or in a zone or whatever. Otherwise, I'll be like, okay, well, now I'll get back to these emails for 20 minutes. I usually set an alarm for like 20 minutes, and then if I'm in a groove, I'll go for like another 5 or 10 minutes.
okay.
And so you're not really, if you think about it, you're taking a break every 20 minutes for 5 or 10 minutes, so it's not a lot,
Right.
and people really do underestimate the how much the non-conscious mind is doing, and how much kind of feeding that, but then like letting it breathe a little bit. Like reading before bed is like one of the better things you can do for you, because it helps your brain has an easier time consolidating and remembering that information.
Like while you're sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So there's just a lot of little tricks like that are fairly well studied these days. There's a class on Coursera called Learning How to Learn. That's a good class that has a bunch of these different techniques, which I'm surprised. They should really be teaching to like fourth graders or something like that. You go through school your whole life, and then no one ever teaches you how to actually learn things, which is
Interesting
which
thought.
is crazy.
I've never thought about that, but yeah, that is true. Everyone kind of develops their own way of
Yeah.
like learning on their own. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Another thing that I need to work is like, I think I've got a pretty good vocabulary when it comes to knowing what a word means. Like if someone says a word or whatever that's, I know it, but like if I'm sitting there and I'm trying to not even just sound smart, but if I'm trying to say something like I'll always have to go, fuck, give me a second. I got to think a minute to figure out what this word is to make the sentence, correct. And like that's one thing I got to work on.
Oh yeah, me too. I wish I had a better vocabulary.
Oh man, I'll listen to some stuff or whatever, and they're just like throwing out all this stuff or transverse, and not that that's a big word, but what I mean, just like all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I get what they're saying, but if I was in that situation, I'd be like, the thing goes there, like I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, well, a lot of times people have like kind of a specialized sort of vernacular or whatever.
That's true too.
For their specific fields. So I mean, I get intimidating interviewing scientists because they all have different terms for different subjects that they study, and scientists often like throwing out their big words as often as they can and
Right.
stuff, and any publication or whatever. I mean, there's a reason for it. Some words just work better, and some words articulate a concept better than others, but a lot of times these words are words that no one else knows about. It's
Right.
just, it's bifurcation or something like that. If you're studying plants or veins, because there's this mechanism where things split off into two, and that's not, the fanciest word in the world. It'd be a pretty, it wouldn't be considered a big word at all to anyone in any of those fields, but I'm sure none of my family members know what bifurcation is.
Right.
And so it's that's. Were you raised in a working class family?
Sort of. I was. My parents are divorced. I live with my mom, and she was like she worked all the time. So she's a nurse, so she was always at work doing that. But I was always at my grandma's, or I was at school or at my grandma's and stuff. So yeah, I guess. I mean, working class for the most part. Yeah, I mean, she was. Yeah, yes. I guess to simplify that.
Yeah. Well, I was as well. And working class children are exposed to about half as many words as like professional children raised in professional households. So we got fucked on that one a little bit. But yeah, welfare dependent families are exposed to like a third or a fourth as many words
Wow.
as those professional families. So yeah, so that's
So I can blame-
that's our Midwestern upbringing.
I can blame my mom.
Yeah,
It's all her
absolutely.
fault that I got a shitty vocabulary.
Yeah.
Well, and also like there's some words that I know that I don't like have use for, but like if it ever comes in, like salinity.
Mm-hmm.
How much salt is in something? Like I know it.
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm gonna use it, but I like for whatever reason, like
Yeah.
like I just
Talking about French fries or something like that, trying to crowbar it in.
well, yeah, we learned it in it was geography class, and we learned it with we're talking about the oceans. Like he had to talk about how much salt's in the ocean is the salinity. All right, cool. Now I know it. And there was another term I still can't remember, but like if you ever like have like a napkin or something and you like dip in water, how it kind of like creeps up. There's a term for that. I don't know what it is, but there's a term for it. There's like something that it means doing that. And I'm like, I remember learning it, going, I'm gonna remember that. Now it's just fucking gone.
Yeah.
Like I've got nothing. I did listen to the hip hop episode. It was very interesting. I enjoyed it very, very much. It was
Thanks.
it was an interesting podcast. Like like I told you the other night, I work. So when I'm working, I sit there and just listen to podcasts because it just kills a lot of time. But it was good. I was thinking earlier today, you should have tried to get in touch with the it's at Oklahoma University or University of Oklahoma down in Norman. One of the chemistry professors there, she was the I get a point of contact, I guess, or the person that they use to check the science on Breaking Bad.
No, really?
Yeah, which
that's interesting.
yeah, it kind of like it blew my mind. I was just like, I think it's funny because every now and then one thing that's semi sort of associated with like Oklahoma is meth, and then the teacher goes and works on a show that all they do is make meth. I was like, okay, that's pretty humorous. No
Yeah.
one else ever put that together, but yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I mean, I mostly do life sciences on my podcast. That'd be interesting just because everyone likes Breaking Bad, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely trying to stay away from chemistry and physics and anything very technical that doesn't have as much to do with the day-to-day life.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Later on in the podcast, I'll probably get into more stuff like that, but
Yeah. But I just remember learning about that, and I was like, no way. That's the teacher
Yeah.
from. It was
yeah, they had their shit together on Breaking Bad. That show's amazing.
well, apparently, the DEA actually showed Bryan Cranston how to make meth.
Really?
This is all internet based, like 20 cool facts for the day and all this random bullshit, and that was one of them. And I was like, and then like watching some interviews with Cranston, he was like, yeah, like we did the process on the show. We didn't use the chemicals, but we did the process. But then when we did it, we'd break like if it was like A, B, C, D, like we would show it in like the order of D, C, B, L or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
we
right,
fucking
right.
mix up all that stuff. And I was like, okay, but yeah, apparently they showed him how to make it. I was like, I don't know.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I have to talk to him to figure out whether or not I have to get him on the podcast and interview him.
Yeah.
But so being on the road so much, what do you do to keep your, I guess, sanity? Are you movie guy, just TV shows, or focus on writing? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I try to focus on writing. When I'm if I get like drinking too much or too burnt out or something like that, I'll watch TV and stuff. But I try to avoid that when I'm on the road. I've been watching more TV than usual lately. I watched Birdman last night.
Oh, with Keaton.
Yep.
Is it good? I've heard it was fantastic.
Yeah, I liked it. It was really beautifully shot, and the acting was good.
Right.
I don't know how great the story was, but it was fine. And let's see. I just finished Making a Murderer recently. I really enjoyed that.
Everyone seems to.
It made me very, very angry.
That's pretty much everyone's reaction.
And recently I finised Gotham.
Second season?
No, the first season is on Netflix.
Oh, just on Netflix.
Yeah. I have yet to see the second season.
Yeah, it's. I watched the first 6 episodes of the second season. I was actually the last about till October. I stopped watching all my shows, and I was like, I'm just gonna stop, because I knew I was gonna be on the road so much, and I was gonna be driving, or I was gonna be a passenger. I was like, I will stockpile my episodes, and then I'll just watch them while I'm on the road, so I have something to kind of keep my attention. But then I realized that I'm gonna be flying a little more, so I'm not gonna have to like be paying attention or whatever. I'm not gonna be the if someone needs directions, I'm not going to need to be that person. The pilots aren't coming to me for any of that information, so I can just go to sleep or whatever. Right. So I'm kind of running through them right now, and Gotham's one of those. And then I was going through, and I was like, I watch too much television.
Yeah.
I got Flash, I got Arrow, I got Quantico, I got Blind Spot. I'm just like freaking Blacklist, just all this crap. And I'm just
I saw 2 seasons of Blacklist, or I don't know if there's 3 or 4.
Third season's out right now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's airing right now.
I've seen 2. Yeah, it's not a bad show. I really liked Narcos. I enjoyed that, and I love The Leftovers on HBO. is some of my favorite television.
I haven't watched it.
Real good. Fantastic.
And then I heard Narcos is really good too.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah, I liked that.
House of Cards?
House of Cards I enjoy. I thought the second season kind of sucked.
Oh, we talked about this the other night. Yeah.
I like Game of Thrones. I'm excited for that to come back.
I can't do it.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
Yeah,
everyone hates me for that.
I don't hate you for it.
Well, it's just like this was my kind of thought process on it. Like if something doesn't grab you on the first episode, and I've kind of like adjusted my worldview a little bit on this, but like my thought process was if it doesn't grab you on the first episode, if you're not interested in the first episode, you're probably not going to be interested in anything else.
Yeah.
Sort of, kind of. And the first episode was just so fucking slow. I was 20 minutes in going, I've been here for an hour. What the hell? And then they're 6 seasons in?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to spoil anything for those listening. It was like, well, he was like, what'd you about the little kid dying? And I go, I didn't see it. He goes, well, it's the very end. I go, well, I still didn't see it. Because I couldn't get past, I was just like, it was so slow. And my friend was really into it, and I kind of pissed him off a little bit. And he was like, well, you don't like Game of Thrones? And I said, no, I'm a fan of good television. And he just got so fucking mad. And he was like, it's the best written show. I was like, sorry, man.
Yeah. Well, to each their own.
Yeah, pretty much. I did watch Walking Dead. I was Walking Dead up until season 3.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that's like not out on Netflix or whatever, but I've seen all the other ones. I haven't seen the new show either of it.
Oh, Fear the Walking Dead. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I got tired of it. It was like,
Yeah, zombies don't really do it for me, but it's fine. Although there's zombies in Game of Thrones.
Oh, like the cold people,
White Walkers,
whatever they're. Yeah. No, the first season was interesting, and the second season I kind of watched that as it came out, and the third season was just like so soap opera-y, as everyone says, but it's true. And then after that I watched 10 minutes of the first episode of the fourth season. I was like, I'm done. I'm off. I'm out.
Yeah, I think the third season was the worst, and I think they've been redeeming themselves recently, or at least the the last season or two that I saw were good, but yeah, whatever.
The one thing, and this is one of the only things that I have read, is the Walking Dead graphic novels. Those are fantastic. If you haven't, I suggest them because I can go through that. They're only 20 pages a piece. Like you flip through them. But I read it when I was I studied abroad. I was in Scotland, and we had like a 4-hour break in between each class. Like it was the way they did their classes was a little weird, but so I'd sit there and just read. And it's intense. Like it's so much more. Obviously, you can do more in a comic than you can on television for the freaking rules and standards and practice and all that stuff or whatever. But like it's intense.
Yeah.
It's like in the comic book, Rick loses. He only has one hand. He gets his hand cut off in like the first 20 episodes or the first 20, and like Shane gets killed in the first like five issues or something like that. I mean, it's like they elongated the first two season compared to it's crazy. But yeah, I would highly suggest that because there's little.
All right.
But
Little deal.
Man, I think we pretty much covered a whole bunch of stuff. So I mean, unless you keep chatting, it's your decision, sir. I mean, we can.
Whatever you think.
Yeah,
I'm down for whatever.
Okay, well, just one thing. Movies, movie guy. I mean, like you said, Birdman, but like,
I like Christopher Nolan a lot. I like all the Memento's one of my favorite movies. I really like Inception and Interstellar, and I thought he did a fantastic job with the 3 Batmans that he made.
What was your favorite?
Well, I kind of like them all, but I guess
Choose wisely.
The was the second one Rises, or
That was the last one. Rise of the Dark Knight, or Dark Knight Rises. Yeah.
what's the second one called again?
Just Dark Knight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Dark Knight, I guess it was my favorite.
Yeah.
I saw them all again recently, and Begins is such a good like origin story.
Very good, yes.
And they did a really nice job with that.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I didn't like the ending very, very much.
Yeah, a little lame.
But other than that, I liked it all. I mean, I think Christopher Nolan is fantastic. He's great at building these puzzles and doing very cerebral stuff. I mean, I like his like The Prestige. I enjoyed.
That was Nolan?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I love that movie though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prestige
real
is
good.
really good. And Interstellar I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then let's see, what did I see I saw The Revenant recently, and it was good. It wasn't, I mean, I thought it was a little bit overhyped, but fine. And then, what's that new Tarantino one, that terrible
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was like about his worst film.
Wow.
And some people loved it. I mean, I liked it, what they did in specific theaters. Like the theater that I went to, they had little what do they call them? Speaking of not being able to think of words when you need it.
Pamphlet?
Programs. They had little programs that they gave you in the beginning with all these pictures and a little bit of the story of
That's cool.
How it was made, and then there's no previews. And
oh, really?
Yeah, they just played like some old-timey music beforehand, and then they did an intermission as well. And it was real awesome.
That is pretty cool. Yeah. I know he was doing some places where he was shooting it, or he was showing it in 70 millimeter or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus just standard definition or whatever, but that's pretty. Intermission.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah.
And I'm excited for Suicide Squad. I think that'll be fun.
Deadpool's in 2 weeks, man. I can't wait.
Oh, that's coming out in only 2 weeks?
2 weeks, 3 weeks, somewhere in there. But yeah, it's like, yeah. No, it comes out on February 12th. Michael, the bouncer, but Looney Bin told me because it's his birthday. But yeah, I'm stoked as hell for that movie.
Nice. Yeah.
This whole year is like superheroed out.
Yeah.
There's that, Civil War, Batman vs Superman.
I don't know, but I don't have a whole lot of faith in the Batman versus Superman movie myself. I don't know if it'll be good. I'm skeptical. That's
Yeah.
for sure. But we'll see.
My thing is, the only thing that I want to be true, and I think it's going to happen, is I want the Affleck to be a good Batman, and I think he's going to be.
Yeah.
And the only reason I want him to is because of all the bullshit of people going, he's not going to be good. And like, you don't know. Like,
Yeah, it's funny. Affleck's one of those guys that I always write off, and I always am like, I won't like it if Affleck's in it, and then I always do. I don't even know why
Yeah.
I think that about him because I've always been happy with every job that he's done, but for whatever reason, something about him just makes me like. Uh, he seems like a real cheese dick or something to me. I don't know what it is.
have you seen Gone Girl?
Yeah, I liked it.
Dude, like, it was crazy. I
Yeah.
didn't expect anything. That was that one and Interstellar. I had work the next day at like 9 or something like that, and it was already like 1 a.m. and I'm like, I'm just gonna start this and I'll finish tomorrow. And I was just like enthralled, like I couldn't move. I was just like, okay, no, I'm gonna finish this. I'll be tired tomorrow. I have to. Like, there's nothing, like nothing's gonna stop me from finishing this, especially
Yeah.
with Interstellar because it was like 2.5 hours long or whatever. I was just like, oh, it's so long. But I'm gonna commit. I got this.
Oh yeah, I loved Interstellar. Yeah, Gone Girl was pretty good.
Yeah, well, the story is just crazy, and the girl is just a fucking psychopath. Like, it's interesting. It was a great movie, but I think Batman and Batman vs Superman is gonna be good because like no one thought that Heath Ledger is gonna be a good Joker, and he's pretty much the like freaking marker that everyone's got to reach now.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It was
Jared Leto is a fantastic actor.
right.
So I'm pretty confident that he'll be able to do a nice job with that.
Yeah,
And it's a different kind of Joker too.
yeah, that's the thing that like kind of well, because the whole thing like whenever Ledger did it is he's like he kind of portrayed what the Joker really is. I'm gonna get kind of comic book nerdy on this, but like he's a psychopath. He's he's crazy. He's like an insane person, and he kills people. Like Jack Nicholson did it, but it was all corny. And then again, you've got freaking who directed that one? Burton. It's Tim Burton doing it, so obviously it's gonna be a little quirky and everything. So you got to accept that. But with Nolan doing like all the grittier version or whatever, and then him playing that role, it was he played the crazy person that he was supposed to be or whatever, and that's why he did a good job. And I think that Jared Leto kind of took that a different direction, different kind of Joker, but he still kind of kept the serious like crazy person, and then added just a tinge of like the corniness or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We're gonna find out.
I bet it'll be good.
I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Like everyone was wigging out. He's like, "Why do you got silver teeth?" I'm like, "I don't know. Watch the movie, find out." Like, it's gonna be good. But awesome, man. Let's end it on that, sir. Do you have any Twitter,
At Shane
Instagram?
Comedy on Twitter, on Facebook, I have a fan page, so it's /Shane Comedy Fan that I use. I have a regular page as well, but I don't use it. Facebook just makes me have the regular one, and my podcast is Here We Are, so check that out.
Yeah, it's awesome. The hip hop episode. I didn't get to listen to them anymore, but I'm going to because
Yeah.
I was very interested. But that one alone, and y'all got on the subject of Eminem and everything, and I was like, well, now I got to listen to Eminem. Like I just like he's on my iPod, so I was like, as soon as like I finished the podcast, I was like, I'll throw on Eminem for a little bit.
His new album's fantastic. Or well, it's not new. It's 2013 or whatever. His newest album,
The
Marshall Mathers LP.
the second one, it's all right. It's not my favorite.
I like it a lot.
I like it. My favorite one is Recovery.
Yeah.
I liked Recovery a lot because there wasn't as many of those, for lack of a better term, like quirky songs. They're more kind of serious, but they were good, and like some of them were kind of silly, but they weren't like crazy or whatever. It's not the weird stuff that like I'm gonna stick 9-inch nails through each of my eyelids. You're like, that's kind of a weird thing. Why would? Okay, yeah. I mean, at the time it made sense, but no, it's just I think it's like a solid start to finish is a good album. There's only maybe like 2 songs on there that I skip. I like them. I just don't like them as much as the other stuff. So I'm just like, but everything else I think is right on point.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. I hated Relapse, so
I think he hated it too.
yeah.
Like he disses on it on Recovery, so he's like,
Right.
it's a piece of shit. So we're gonna move on. But no, on the LP2, Rap God, I love that song.
Oh yeah.
It's so hard to not like that song.
Yeah.
Like
That song's great.
it's fucking good. But all right, well we're gonna end this. Mr. Mauss, Mr. Shane, you're awesome. Thank you for coming on and
Yeah, thanks for having me.
everything. And let's stop right here. So cut.